Hey, today I wanted to talk about some gay stuff. More specifically, I wanted to talk about some of the gay slang that gay men use to categorize each other and themselves. Because I feel like as a gay man, you learn these words like bear and otter and twink over time, and you kind of just like internalize their meanings without ever being explicitly told what they all mean. It can be funny sometimes trying to talk to friends who aren't really in the gay hemisphere about gay stuff, because it ends up being like, what do you mean you were flirting with an otter? There were Twinkies? A bear did what to you? And I thought it'd be interesting to make a video where I just kind of take some of these labels and define them using my own knowledge, as if the person watching this had no idea what any of the terms meant. And also just talk about my feelings on these labels in general, because I think that there is a lot of nuance. First up are top and bottom. These two labels refer to whether you prefer giving or receiving in butt sex. The top is the partner who penetrates, and the bottom is the partner who receives penetration. I think that straight people sometimes refer to top and bottom as pitcher and catcher. So like pitcher would be the top, catcher would be the bottom. Something kind of interesting is that in other languages, I've seen top and bottom referred to as active and passive, active being the top and passive being the bottom. And it makes you think about the word choice, because obviously the penetrative partner is not always going to be physically on top of the person receiving. Likewise, the person receiving is not always going to be on the bottom. And even in the terms active and passive, you can be the receiving partner and be more active, power bottom, and the penetrative partner can still be more passive. So I don't think that either sets of labels are perfect. Top and bottom are really just meant to define your preferred position or role in sex. But sometimes I see people attributing certain characteristics or connotations to top and bottom. For example, tops are usually seen as the more dominant partner, the more masculine partner, or in some cases, even the partner that is taller in height. That last one might sound silly, but I have met men who think that the top always has to be the one who is taller. Conversely, men who prefer bottoming are generally stereotyped as more feminine, more submissive. Sometimes when gay men see other guys acting more flamboyant or feminine, they'll be like, that guy's a bottom. And honestly, all of these stereotypes are stupid. Top and bottom is literally just meant to represent what you want to do in sex. It shouldn't define your personality. You don't have to be masculine or dominant to be a top, and you don't have to be feminine or submissive to be a bottom. And I wish people would stop injecting these rules into what they think a bottom has to be or what a top has to be. Like, there's nothing wrong with liking your tops more masculine or dominant, or liking your bottoms more feminine and submissive, but not every top and not every bottom is like that, and that's also fine. So other than active and passive, I found some more interesting translations of top and bottom in other languages. In Japanese, the literal translation is longsword and wheelbarrow. In Spanish, the translation is neck blower and pillow biter. That one's kind of spicy. And in Arabic, the translation is positive and negative, as in battery charges. Even though these all mean the same thing, it's interesting to see the words they choose to represent top and bottom in different cultures. Anyway, moving on. Another sex term is verse, which stands for versatile. And verse guys like to do both. They like to top and bottom. Some verse men like to switch roles with the same partner and switch between top and bottom, and other verse men prefer to stick to either top or bottom depending on the guy that they're with. There's also verse top and verse bottom, which mean that you're verse, but you tend to lean more toward one role rather than the other. So we've got top, bottom, verse. Next is going to be the side. So side is really interesting because it's a fairly new term. I've personally only seen it within the past few years. And for a long time, all we had to define sex positions in the gay community were top, bottom, and verse. So a new one entering the playing field is huge. The terms top, bottom, and verse all refer to anal sex, and there tends to be this overarching idea that sex for gay men is always butt sex. But the crazy truth is, not all gay men like anal sex. And so you can't really call yourself a top, a bottom, or a verse if you don't even like the sexual activity that those labels refer to. And this is why the term side was created. The term side refers to a gay man who doesn't like anal sex at all. Sides still enjoy sexual activity like oral sex, making out, physical contact, mutual masturbation, etc. They just don't like anal. You don't have to be into anal sex to be a gay man. And that's why I like that this new label side came into the playing field, because I feel like it alleviates some of the pressure for gay men who maybe aren't as much into anal to like force themselves to be into it. I got pasta. Yummy. Bear. The term bear refers to gay men who have larger body types and generally have a lot of body hair, much like their animal counterpart. Bears also tend to be seen as older and more mature, but I think that's mainly because large hairy body types tend to be more common in older men than younger men. Because maturity tends to be a big identifier for bears, men in their 20s or early 30s that have the bear body type are sometimes referred to as cubs rather than bears. One of the first usages of the term bear can be traced back to a 1979 issue of The Advocate, which is an LGBTQ magazine, in an article titled Who's Who at the Zoo, written by George Maze. This article seems to be one of the first examples of gay men using animal code words to describe other gay people. Something important to note about the bear label is that it functions as two things. For one, it is a body type identifier, but two, it is also a subculture. There is a whole community of gay men with this body type, and they even have their own flag. Gay bars or gay clubs will sometimes hold things like bear nights. There are some gay clubs that are specifically tailored for men of the bear community. There are several annual bear events, such as Bear Stock, Bear Pride, Bear Week. Two of my favorite video game bears are Yangus from Dragon Quest and Zangief from Street Fighter. Next up are otters. An otter refers to a gay man that is hairier, but doesn't have necessarily a large enough body type to be called a bear, and so they tend to have a slim or more slender body type. So unlike with bears, there isn't really an otter community. The term otter is more so just used as a body type identifier from what I have seen. Two examples of video game otters are Professor Turo from Pokemon and Luigi, because I'm just gonna go ahead and bravely say that I think he probably has chest hair. So this next one is probably one of the most commonly used words within the gay community.
What is a
twink?
A miserable little pile of secrets!
So the term twink refers to a gay man with a skinnier body type, I would say maybe slim to average in body weight. They usually have no body hair or very, very little body hair. One of the core identifiers of a twink is that they're meant to be more youthful in appearance, which means that a lot of people consider their age range to be 18 to early 20s. But twink is still sometimes used to refer to men that are older than that, to define specifically their slim body type rather than their age. So that's the twink body type, but there's also a personality type that gay men tend to associate with twinks. Twinks are often viewed as being flamboyant, feminine, sassy, very shallow. The interesting thing about the twink label is that twinks are simultaneously loved and hated. There are a lot of gay men who glorify twinks and kind of put them up on a pedestal as being very physically attractive, physically desirable, and pretty. But a lot of the personality traits that gay men associate with twinks tend to be negative. So the value of twinks is placed more on their physical appearance rather than who they actually are. I would even go as far as to say that the twink label is starting to lean toward having a more negative connotation overall than a positive one. Two good examples of video game twinks are Ezreal from League of Legends and Reno from Final Fantasy. There is an offshoot label of twink that isn't super common, but I've heard it here and there, and it's called twunk. And a twunk is meant to be twink plus hunk, meaning that it's a twink with more muscles than the average twink body type would usually have. Cloud from Final Fantasy probably fits the bill for this one. Daddy. Daddy is less of a body type label and more of an age and maturity level label. And it also refers to a relationship dynamic. Daddies tend to take on a more nurturing role in relationships. I have seen gay men that identify as daddies and prefer dating men older than them, but they still take on that kind of nurturing relationship with that person. And honestly, sometimes guys will just call other guys daddy if they think they're hot. I feel like this is a very pop culture usage that is used in the straight community too. Like, I feel like every attractive man is just being called daddy now, to be honest. Two of my favorite video game daddies are Iron Bull from Dragon Age Inquisition and Dr. Light from Mega Man. Another label you see used a lot in the gay community is the phrase discreet. Instead of discreet, some guys also call it DL, which stands for down low. So discreet can mean one of two things. One, they're in the closet, not open about their gayness, and so they don't want anybody to know that they're gay, so they want to make sure that everything they do is secretive. And two is that they're in a relationship with someone but want to fuck around with guys on the side, and they don't want their partner to know. And honestly, a lot of the time, it's both. This is kind of fucked up, but you see it a lot with straight married men. And my favorite discreet video game character is Sidon from Tears of the Kingdom. So at this point, I've covered some of the most common labels that you'll see in the gay community. This obviously is not an all-encompassing, comprehensive list. There are more gay labels than I can include in this video, but I think the ones I've talked about are some of the biggest and most common that you'll see. But before I end this video, I guess I wanted to talk a little bit more about my feelings or whatever on how gay men label and treat each other. A very obvious critique I have of the way that gay men categorize each other is that these categories are very narrow in how they describe people. I guess I've never really identified with any of the gay body type labels, so whenever they ask you what your type is on the gay apps, I always have been kind of confused. I've always kind of felt like I didn't fit into the twink label because I had too much facial or body hair, and then I felt like I didn't really fit into the otter label because I don't have enough body hair. And I've expressed this to other gay men before, and they'll usually be like, oh no, it's okay, you're definitely a twink, it's okay, you're a twink. Or they'll be like, no, it's okay, you're an otter, you're definitely an otter. And I'm just like, what if I don't feel like I'm either of those? Why are other gay men telling me what I am? Why don't I get to decide what I am? Like, I don't strongly identify with either twink or otter or any gay category, really. I just kind of want to be myself. And look, you can't escape labels. They're everywhere in society. I'm pretty sure it's just in human nature to label other people. This is not something that's exclusive to the gay community. Stereotypes are everywhere. But I guess I'm just tired of feeling like I have to look a certain way or act a certain way to conform to one of the types of gay men. A lot of gay men, before they actually come out, have to spend such a large portion of their lives suppressing who they really are because they're trying to pretend to be a straight man and conform to this standard of like being more masculine or acting more straight or whatever. But then within the gay community, there are sometimes pressures that mirror that closeted experience, where instead of just being your authentic self and celebrating that, you're feeling these pressures to conform to some sort of gay subgroup, gay subculture, or label so that you feel accepted. I'm a gay man. I'm not an otter or a twink or whatever. I'm just a gay man. I just want to be a person. I guess I just wish that the gay community as a whole viewed each other more as individuals rather than these preconceived constructs of what type of gay person you are. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough for today, but I'm not really sure how this video will be received. I wanted to try something that was a bit more unscripted because I go on these tangents and rants a lot on my Twitch stream, and my chat is always like, we like when you do those, we like when you ramble like a crazy person. So I was like, I kind of wanted to bring something more like that into my YouTube channel. Even though I want my focus as a content creator to be on video games, I do like to talk about other things sometimes, and this was something that was important to me, so I just wanted to share my thoughts on it. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. And saying the YouTubers things, doing YouTube stuff. But really, let me know your thoughts. I'm interested in hearing other people's perspectives. If you could relate to anything I'm saying about gay labels, or you have a different perspective on it, if you like them or hate them, maybe you have a favorite video game daddy you'd like to share. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Pasta Ghost out. Get it? 'Cause I'm out.